If I have one bugbear or one big no when it comes to tarot, it's people that write keywords on the front of their cards. I've had students that have done this, taken a Sharpie and even written like sentences on the front of the cards. If you really have to do it, you certainly could do it on the back. But we have images in tarot for a reason, and the reason is to read the image and pay attention to the details. We have 78 cards in our average tarot deck, and each one of those images, each one of those symbols is there for a reason, particularly when you're working with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I thought I'd share a little game with you. I thought I'd share some are obvious, some are more unusual, some little details, and see if you can spot the cards and how they are linked. And the first one is the Five of Pentacles. Now, it's really important to look at how the pentacles are in this image. Whatever card you're looking at, if it's a minor arcana card, look at how the suit is presented. Here we have the pentacles growing in the window as if in a tree. And if you look at the very top here, you can see the sixth pentacle growing. But what is unique about this sixth pentacle? Well, it's not unique. It is, to the best of my knowledge, because I am still discovering new things about this amazing deck. But to the best of my knowledge, this upside down pentacle, because if you look at it, there is only one point at the bottom. There are not two. And of course, we will find that in the Devil card. And the reason I'm sharing this is you can't memorize all of those micro details. But if you are doing a tarot reading and you are looking at the cards and you've looked at the Devil and you've noticed that his pentacle is upside down to the rest of the pentacles in the deck, and you've got the Five of Pentacles, maybe your eye will notice the connection there and form a link within a reading between these two cards. One of my favourite little details like that is the bridge. The bridge in the Four of Cups. Now, it is in one other card as a teeny tiny detail. I think I've included that card in my list. So if we have, I will point it out when we get there. But the list in the bridge in the Four of Cups is the same unique, unusual bridge as in the Five of Cups. I am utterly fascinated by the Tower. It's probably one of the tarot cards that I have studied the image of more than any other. And one of the details that I think is understudied is the crown. The crown in the Tower is knocked off. That is the same crown. It's not the same crown, but we have a crown in the Ace of Swords with the blade thrust through it. So if you've got the Ace of Swords and the Tower in a reading, maybe these two cards are linked in your reading by the image of the crown, one knocked asunder and one thrust through. I think quite an obvious one that many people are aware of, is the fish that pops out so beguiling to the Page of Cups, is now both worn as a pendant by the King of Cups, but we also have a fish down here swimming wildly. And I often imagine the King of Cups just wants to take off all that fancy clothing and just dive into the water and remove the sort of the ritualized symbol of the fish to connect once more with the fish that is swimming freely. This literally came up in a reading today. It was a complex reading. It was an important reading, and I had two cards side by side, and the uniqueness of one single detail really, really caught my eye. The fact that the light in the Hermit's lantern is a star. And this is somebody who is really, really hoping that something will happen, and it's seeming quite complex right now. And the first card that I pulled was the Star, and the second, the Hermit. And I really had to think to myself, this Hermit is, in this unique reading, really showing the power of the Star, the importance of having hope and holding it aloft. Again, I think one that is noticed by people is the hand symbol in the Ten of Swords, is the same hand symbol in the Hierophant. Sometimes the Ten of Swords is a genuine blessing. Sometimes it is a release of stress. Remember that the swords represent the mind. I have seen the Ten of Swords represent people, releasing stored trauma and really having a fresh start in their life, emotionally and physically. This is it dawn or dusk? It really doesn't matter, but it really amplifies the fact that this is a 10. This is a new beginning and a change, and there is a blessing implicit in this card. Another card that I have spent a long time focusing on is Death. I mean, let's be honest, Pamela Colman Smith, she painted a whole play in this one card. If you really, really take the time to look at it, so much is happening. But there is a unique symbol, or a symbol that is only shared with two other cards, and that is the White Rose. Now, we do get white flowers in the Six of Cups, but I'm going to argue they do not look like roses. And of course, we get white lilies, but the White Rose is a link between the Death card and the Fool card. And we also, of course, we have the White Sun in the Fool card. Now, to me, the red rose is the physical body with our blood pumping around the body. And the white rose is the bloodless rose, the bloodless body, the man made pale. And so we have here both post-life and pre-life. And, if you're going to ask me which card is most likely to signify a pregnancy, for me, it's the Fool. Because it is an unincarnated spirit. And so I think the white rose, though it may be like a small detail, but the way that it is held, we need to remember Pamela Colman Smith was a set designer. She knew how to frame an image. She knew how to capture her audience's eyes. And I think when we look, obviously the Death card, the white rose is, right there, waved as a flag in front of your very eyes. But perhaps when we look at the framing of this and the lines, something I think does frame this white rose as being important. And then again, with the sort of the linked symbolism, the black pole. This is a black pole. It's not a wand. It's not brown. It doesn't have the leaves growing off it. It is not, if we go back, and so, for example, here we can see that wands are brown. And if we come to the Hermit, and also in the Eight of Cups, the wand is golden. This wand is black. And the black pole is repeated actually in 2 or possibly 3 cards. It is certainly repeated in the Six of Swords. But there's a very, very curious detail here in that the end of the wands is the end of the stick is slightly hidden. And obviously the end of the black pole here is hidden. So we can't see for definite what's at the very end. Which then brings us to the Ten of Pentacles. It's quite hard to be certain I find the Ten of Pentacles an incredibly annoying card, because we can't be certain who is actually holding this staff. I tend to think it's the older man, but arguably we can't be 100% certain. But it is a black pole that appears to be a wand. It appears to have a white tip to it, though I think it is hard to be certain. And we could argue it could be the same pole in these two cards, which would then bring us to the presumption that perhaps the old man is a deceased ancestor, because we have the link then from the white rose to the white rose and the sun. I very often associate the Six of Pentacles to being Six of Swords to be being guided by spirit guides because of the black pole. And if you did a reading where perhaps you had the Ten of Pentacles and the Six of Swords, if you were looking at the cards, you would hopefully notice the shared symbolism of the black wand. And again, I think these are too complicated to remember. I don't think, yes, we need to understand the cards, but I don't think memorizing all the associations is even possible. The scales, they are in, to the best of my knowledge, because I'm still discovering things as I go, they are in 3 cards. They are, of course, in the Six of Pentacles, but they are also in the annoyingly overcomplicated Ten of Pentacles, because we do have drawn here in the arch a set of scales. And I've done quite a few readings where all 3 of these cards will come out. And it's like a triple trump, all 3 cards have the scales. The scales, the image, the understanding of the symbolism of the scales then must be incredibly important for that reading. But if you are gazing quickly at the cards and not taking the time to look at the symbolism, you could easily overlook it. Of course, I'm giving examples here from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. You may well be reading from a different deck, in which case it may be different symbols that you're connecting. It might be colours or animals or, particular. So it is, I think, very important to know your deck. Which is why I only read professionally with 2 decks, the Druidcraft and the Rider-Waite-Smith, because if you're really going to read with a deck, you have to have taken the time to understand the image in every card. I've seen a lot of debate online about the way that the early majors are paired up, if you like. And a very simple story goes that the Magician and the High Priestess are a natural pair, and then the Emperor and the Empress are a natural pair. And I completely dispute that. Of course, I do believe the Emperor and the Empress are a matched pair. The High Priestess is matched to the Hierophant. That's to do with the name Hierophant, linking it to the Persephone mysteries and the pomegranates that we have on the curtain or the veil behind the High Priestess. To me, there is one natural pairing for the Magician, and it has to be Strength if you're working with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because we have the infinity symbol above their heads. Yes, we have the infinity symbol in the Two of Pentacles with the juggling, but it's different. Here we have a male and a female figure center stage. Here we have, I'm going to argue, quite unique body positions. We have the white, yes, the Magician's put on a red sort of cloak, but they both have a sort of more ritualistic white outfit. They both have belts. They both have the yellow backgrounds. To me, this is divine masculine and divine feminine in a different form to the Emperor and Empress, but nonetheless divine masculine and divine feminine. When we think about the curious cards, I think 2 of the most curious cards are the Ten of Pentacles and the Two of Wands. There are so many teeny tiny details in this card that I just think I could study it and write a dissertation on this one card. We have a very much repeated image here of the red roses and the white lilies. We have it, for example, in the Magician. If you look carefully in the Ace of Pentacles, you will see the white lilies growing in the field, and you will see the red roses in the hedgerow framing the image. And here they are painted on as if they're like a blueprint. And somewhere in this image, and I have studied it with my bigger deck, there is the bridge from the Four of Wands and the Five of Cups. And I think that's because if we think about the Rider-Waite-Smith being set in a landscape, this is quite a high perspective. And you can, in fact, there it is. I can just see it right there, the bridge. And you can, and I imagine, I'm not artistic, so I would love to have the skills to do this, that if I was, perhaps over here, I could see the Ten of Cups and all the other cards from the vantage point of this card. So when it comes to reading tarot, when you turn the cards over, take the time to look at each card. Let your mind read the images, see what catches your eye. And obviously this isn't a spread because the cards were in order. And continue to do that. And whether it's the colour of the sky, whether it's the body position, whether it's the way the swords are held, whatever details you can cross-reference between the cards in a reading will help you to find both the focus of the reading and the nuanced details. So that was just me. I don't really feel like working, felt like playing, got out my deck and just made some piles of cards that have connected symbols. I could probably make 10 of these videos focusing on colour and body position and how the suits are expressed in the cards. There are so many of these teeny tiny details, and I promise you, if you take the time to look at your cards, they will make a real difference to your reading.